I'm going to show you how to work on both sides of a foundation chain. I'll show you several variations as there are different circumstances where you might want to use this technique. I'm using US crochet terminology and I'll be working a single crochet in this example. In the UK, this would be called a double crochet. In this first example, I'll work on both sides of the foundation chain without increasing at the ends. I've done my 6 chains, and I'm going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. And I'm going to stop and put a marker here so I'll be able to find that stitch later on. And then in each chain across, and I'm working under the top 2 loops of the chain. So I put my hook just above that lowest loop, and when I insert my hook, I've got 2 loops on top of my chain. I'll show you another way in a minute. So working each chain across. When I worked across, I have 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And normally at this point, I would turn my work like turning the page of a book like this and work across the top of the stitches I just made. But that's not what I'm doing here. Instead of turning it like the page of a book, I'm going to rotate it like the hands of a clock. And if I'm right-handed, I'm rotating clockwise, and if I'm left-handed, I'm rotating counterclockwise. And when I do that, I end up with the bottom of the chain on top. Here the top of my stitches, here's the bottom of my chain. And because I worked under 2 loops of my chain, I just have a single loop left. That's the single loop that was left in my chain, and that's what I'm going to be working under. So I need to make sure I don't grab my yarn tail, keep it out of the way, and then work under each of those loops. And I want to make sure that I'm working into the very first one. There's my last stitch. You see those 2 legs of my single crochet. So when I rotate around, I want to work into that very first free loop of my chain, and there should be 5 of them. That was 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this last one, this one's behaving pretty well, but sometimes it kind of wants to jump up. See how the last loop is kind of jumping up in front of my stitch? I want to make sure I grab that last loop, working from front to back, and single crochet into it as well. Now when I have finished, let's count my stitches. There's my first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 5 on one side and 5 on the other. The stitches at the end of the chain are really trying to curl in here. That's because I didn't put any increases there. If I keep working around and don't increase at the ends, I'll create a flat tube that's closed at one end. In this example, I work into the back bump of the foundation chain to start with, and then increase at each end. I have my chain 6. I'll single crochet in the back bump of the second chain from the hook. And I'm going to put a marker there so I'll see where that first stitch is. And then into the back bump of each chain to the last chain. The last chain gets 3 single crochets put in it. So there's 1, 2, 3. Move that yarn tail out of the way. Let me stop a minute and show you what's happening here. And this is trying to curl a little bit, but that's okay. So as I increased at the end of the chain, it starts to curve around, and that's what I want it to do. Those 3 single crochets in one stitch create that increase or create the curve at the end of my chain. So just like I showed you before, I'm going to rotate my work, not turn it, but rotate it. And look at what I have on the other side. The opposite side of the foundation chain looks like a chain, or it looks like the tops of stitches. That's because I worked into the back bump, and that left the front of the chain looking like a chain. So now I'm going to work under both loops of that chain. I've worked into the first stitch, so I'm going to work under both loops of each chain across. And if your foundation chain was a little tight, you might find you have to dig a little bit here. It's a good idea to work your foundation chain loosely when you know that you're going to be working on both sides of it. Here I am at my last foundation chain, and that one gets 2 single crochets in it. Which actually means there are 3 because there are 2 here and then there was 1 that we started with. So let's count and see how many stitches we have. Here's my first stitch that's marked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That double increase, the 3 stitches on each end of the chain, allows the piece to lie flat. If I keep working in rounds and increasing at the appropriate points, I'll create a flat oval shape. If you'd like more instruction like this, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out the links in the video notes for more ways you can find me. Thanks for watching.